You live in an age that worships motion. The faster you move, the more valuable you seem. The culture tells you that stillness is laziness and that rest is weakness. Every screen preaches the gospel of the grind. Wake earlier, work longer, stack income streams, build your empire. The hustle isn't just encouraged, it's idolized. You start to believe that your worth is measured by how many side projects you juggle before sunrise. At first, it feels empowering. The world has never been more open to ambition. You can sell, teach, write, design, film, or trade from the palm of your hand. You can make money while you sleep, or so they say. And so you dive in, another side hustle, another late night, another promise that this one will finally set you free. You tell yourself it's temporary, that you're just building momentum. But the weeks blur into months, and freedom still feels like a rumor. The hustle meant to serve you begins to own you. You find yourself working for algorithms, not dreams. The line between opportunity and obsession vanishes. You check numbers before prayer, messages before breakfast. You start counting followers the way farmers once counted harvests, forgetting that numbers can't feed the soul. The more you chase, the less you rest. It's not that hard work is wrong, it's that endless work is empty. There's a difference between diligence and desperation. Diligence plants seeds, desperation digs them up every night to see if they've grown. Proverbs warned about this without ever mentioning hashtags or startups. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. You read those words and feel the sting. Haste isn't progress. It's panic wearing ambition's clothes. The trap of hustle culture is that it sells control but breeds chaos. It promises independence but delivers exhaustion. You start to realize that your second income is stealing from your first, your peace. Every moment of quiet feels guilty. Even rest feels like time wasted. You forget that growth needs stillness the way crops need seasons. Somewhere along the line, side hustles stopped being a path to freedom and became proof of fear. Fear of falling behind, fear of being ordinary, fear that your main work, or your faith, isn't enough. And so you build multiple streams, not from confidence, but from panic. You're not multiplying your gifts, you're dividing your focus. Proverbs speaks quietly into this storm. Better is a little with peace than great wealth with turmoil. It doesn't dismiss ambition, it redirects it. It suggests that the true measure of success isn't expansion, but alignment. If your hustle costs you your calm, it's no longer a blessing. The verse cuts deeper the more you think about it. The irony is that hustle culture often begins with noble intention. You just wanted options, stability, opportunity. But without boundaries, good things mutate into masters. You begin to chase growth the way gamblers chase luck. Always one deal, one click, one sale away from satisfaction. Yet that satisfaction never arrives because it was replaced by momentum itself. You start noticing the fatigue in your thoughts. Creativity becomes calculation. Joy becomes metrics. The projects you once loved now feel like debt. Another invoice to your own ambition. And still, you keep saying yes. Because in the culture of hustle, no feels like failure. But Proverbs whispers otherwise. It reminds you that wisdom doesn't rush, it roots. It says that integrity outlasts opportunity, that peace outperforms panic. Commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. Maybe the missing piece isn't another project, it's perspective. The trap of hustle culture isn't just overwork, it's misdirection. It convinces you that busyness is proof of blessing. But blessings aren't loud, they're lasting. You start to wonder, what if the secret to building more isn't adding but subtracting? And so, somewhere between exhaustion and awakening, you pause. You look at your life, your screen, your endless to-do list and realize that Proverbs wasn't trying to kill your ambition. It was trying to save your soul. You start to see that Proverbs isn't anti-hustle, it's anti-chaos. It celebrates hard work, but warns against hurry. The wisdom is subtle. buried in lines about diligence, patience, and rhythm. In all toil there is profit, it says, but mere talk tends only to poverty. Work matters, but so does motive. The difference between a wise builder and a restless hustler isn't effort, it's intention. You realize balance doesn't mean doing less, it means doing right. It's not the absence of activity, but the presence of order. You can have 3 jobs and still be peaceful if your purpose is clear. Or you can have 1 project and be miserable if it's fueled by fear. The wisdom of Proverbs isn't about quantity, it's about direction. It asks not how much you work, but why you work. The wise see labor as stewardship, not identity. They build to serve, not to prove. They plant because it's faithful, not fashionable. That's the quiet power hidden in ancient wisdom. It doesn't glorify achievement. It sanctifies effort. Every small act done with clarity becomes sacred. That's why Solomon wrote, "The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it." True gain doesn't take peace as payment. You start comparing that to the hustle mentality that glorifies grind and ignores grace. In the hustle world, rest feels like rebellion. But in wisdom's world, rest is respect. For your limits, your mind, your maker. It's the pause that allows strength to rebuild. The wise don't fear slowing down because they know roots deepen in stillness. Balance is a form of courage. It takes bravery to step away when the world equates busyness with worth. It takes strength to say, "That's enough," when opportunity still knocks. Proverbs calls this discernment, the ability to choose not just what's good, but what's right for your soul. You start designing your days differently. You set boundaries not as barriers, but as blessings. You block out rest like appointments and protect silence like currency. You learn that a side hustle doesn't have to be a side idle. It can be a craft, an act of creativity, a quiet collaboration with purpose if you refuse to let it own you. The more you study Proverbs, the more it feels like it was written for this very age. A heart at peace gives life to the body, it says. That's more than poetry, it's physiology. The body follows the spirit. Anxiety, exhaustion, envy, these are symptoms of imbalance. Wisdom isn't just moral, it's practical medicine for the modern mind. You begin to redefine success. It's not viral views or 7 streams of income, it's integrity, peace, and purpose walking in the same direction. The world calls that small thinking. Proverbs calls it wise living. Because wealth without rest isn't abundance, it's bondage. The wisdom of balance teaches you to leave space for joy, not the kind that comes from completion, but from creation itself. You start enjoying the work again because you no longer need it to prove your value. You rediscover gratitude for the simple, sustainable pace. It's not slower, it's stronger. Then one evening, you shut your laptop before midnight and step outside. The sky is still there. The world hasn't ended because you rested. You breathe deeper than you have in months. You realize this is what wisdom feels like, not dramatic, but durable. It's peace that lingers after performance fades. Balance doesn't announce itself. It whispers through consistency. It teaches that every side hustle must submit to a main mission, and that mission is peace. Proverbs doesn't condemn ambition, it just insists that ambition kneel before wisdom, because hustle without guidance burns fast and dies young, but wisdom sustains what hustle only starts. And so you start to see the pattern forming. The path isn't about quitting your hustle, it's about redeeming it. The side hustle becomes sacred when it's aligned with the right heart. You stop striving to prove and start working to serve. That's when effort turns into excellence and motion turns into meaning. Eventually, you begin to understand what all the striving was trying to teach you. The side hustle was never just about extra money, it was about meaning. You weren't chasing income, you were chasing identity. You wanted proof that your effort mattered, that your gifts could build something real. But Proverbs reminds you that purpose doesn't start with profit. It starts with principle. Work becomes sacred when it serves more than self. You remember a verse you once skimmed over: "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed." It doesn't promise instant results. It promises alignment. Success in this light is not accumulation but obedience, living in rhythm with the wisdom that built the world. You start to see how your hustle can still thrive, not as rebellion against stillness, but as an extension of stewardship. Purpose transforms the way you see growth. It's not about scaling, it's about sowing. A business rooted in character will outlast one built on comparison. You begin to treat your work like a garden, tending, pruning, waiting. You understand that slow profit is not failure, it's maturity. Proverbs calls it diligence, not delay. The sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. When your focus shifts from gain to giving, something liberating happens. Anxiety loosens its grip. Gratitude replaces greed. You realize that wealth isn't just what you keep, it's what you contribute. The hustle no longer drains you because it finally has direction. You stop hustling to escape scarcity and start working to express gratitude. The modern world measures worth in digits and digits alone, but wisdom measures differently. It asks, did your work bring peace or pressure? Did it heal or harm? Did it build or burn out? These are uncomfortable questions, but they separate the foolish worker from the faithful one. Proverbs says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Character is the only currency that never devalues. You start noticing how profit follows purpose like a shadow follows light. When you serve well, abundance finds you, not always in the form of wealth, but always in the form of worth. People trust the worker whose motives are pure, whose hustle is honest. You realize integrity is the ultimate business strategy, and patience is the best investment. Purpose also restores perspective. You no longer fear slow seasons because you've learned that roots grow unseen. When progress hides, faith builds. The Proverbs' wisdom of patience becomes your shield against the world's obsession with speed. You stop competing with timelines that were never yours. The race loses its thrill, and peace becomes your pace. Sometimes you'll still feel the pull, the pressure to do more, earn more, be more. But now you have a filter. Does this serve my calling or just my craving? That single question cuts through noise like a blade. It turns ambition into discernment and work into worship. Your side hustle, reborn under this wisdom, becomes something richer than a second paycheck. It becomes a second purpose. It becomes a testimony of balance, proof that faith and work can coexist without consuming each other. It becomes a reminder that freedom is not found in ownership, but in order. In the quiet moments, you look back at the journey, from burnout to balance, from chasing to choosing, and realize that the Proverbs never asked you to abandon the hustle. They asked you to redeem it, to bring your labor under the rule of wisdom, to let purpose, not pressure, be your boss. So you keep working, but differently now. You rise early, but not anxiously. You build, but not frantically. You hustle, but with heart. You understand that every act of honest work is a form of worship, and every side hustle aligned with wisdom becomes a small miracle of order in a chaotic world. And when the day ends and the screens go dark, you can finally rest. Because you know that what you built wasn't just a business, but a balance. Not just income, but insight. Not just motion, but meaning. That's what Proverbs has been trying to teach all along.